Let's wait around 3-4 minutes for whosoever wants to join, they can join, and then let's start. So hello everyone. So can we interact a little bit? So could you guys just open up like what are your interests really in? Like as we have seen in the past batches, so you guys are asked to do a like small report or a small survey kind of, and you have to submit a report at the end, right? If I'm not wrong. Any responses?
Hello, sir.
Yeah,
May I start?
yeah, sure. Dhanashri,
Uh,
right?
yes, sir. Hello,
Yeah,
everyone. My name is Dhanashri Nikam, and I've recently completed my graduation, and I've completed in politics and history. My main focus is on history, but since I'm a political science student, I am very keen in public policy and also in politics. So, those are my key interests.
that's great, Dhanashri. Good to know you. So you are interested in public policy in history and politics, right? That is a
Yes,
very
sir.
good domain to get into. Yes, yes. So you will be choosing a survey topic or a dissertation topic pertaining to that only, I guess. Right?
Yes, sir. I have already chosen from the form that you have given in the group. I have chosen reduced inequalities.
Reduce inequalities,
Yes,
right?
sir.
That is a very good topic. So anyone else wants to tell their topic or interest area? You might not have finalized the topic, but you might be interested towards something, right? Okay. So let me start. The thing is, I'm not going to take this class as a research methodology class. I'm not going to tell you what are the different types of research, how to do survey, how to decide on a sample size, what are the different methodologies you can conduct a survey in. What I'm going to tell here in this a short session is how to write a report that is going to be in the end. So what this will orient you towards is to collect data in such a way that you can write a report, because if you know what to write in the report, it becomes easier for you to write, present, and submit that report. So starting on that point, let me share my screen. Yeah, I hope you can see my screen now. At any point, if you are not able to see my screen, you can just stop me and say, is it visible?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir, it is.
Oh, that's great. So, a little bit about myself. My name is Dr. Mayank Sharma. I've done my BDS from PGI Rohtak and I've done my MPH from JIPMER. Right now, I'm currently working with the National Center for Disease Control in Delhi. So, how to write a dissertation or how to write a simple report? I've taken out some slides from this to suit you. So moving on. So there are two types of writing. This is just a light-hearted comment. So there are two types of writing styles. So on the one end of the spectrum, you can like really get involved in it, and you can think each word and each sentence and what you want to convey, and you write it. The other one is you keep pressing random things and you hope that it makes sense, or you go to the paraphrasing tools online and you write some things and you hope that it makes sense. So normally we all strike a balance and our writing style becomes somewhat in between. That is completely okay as far as you know what you aim to get out of the report. So what is the general structure of a research paper? So research paper starts with an abstract followed with a summary that is an optional. For your report, both abstract and summary will be optional. Mostly, as I've seen in the past, the report starts from introduction, then it moves to the background or a literature review because as you might be developing an interest or a topic. So, for example, inequality measurement of inequality dealing, how to deal with an inequality in certain area. So if you have to make a policy on that, you wouldn't be the first to make a policy on that. There would be research already done on that. There would be paper published already on that. So what you can do is you can go to an index journal. You can go on PubMed for example if you have something related to health. Otherwise, there are a lot of journals you can like log on to and you can see what is the previous evidence, what is the previous policy, what is the previous research done, and you can include that in your literature review. Literature review generally, as we would see ahead, includes just of 4 to 5 references in your report writing. In general, it might include a lot more. So first is introduction, then we move to the body of the research, which includes background, literature review, then methods, how you do the survey. Method is important per se because if you want somebody to replicate your study, then you would have to describe every little thing in method section so that your research basically becomes credible and it is easier for you to publish it somewhere, as most of you would be graduates by this point. So you would know the importance of getting a paper published in a journal, index journal, or any journal, and having that on your CV. So method is basically important because it ensures that your study is generalizable. If I sitting here want to do your study by reading your methods, I should know everything that is how you did your study, and I can replicate that in my setting. So we end it with results, whatever you found in the methods, and by following the methods that constitutes the results, and discussions are in your general, like your opinion, your personal opinion about what you did, what all opinions you followed, and then we have the conclusion. For example, let me take an example of the past dissertation I have seen in this forum. So there was a girl, she did a research on like fairness, like fairness as a construct. How does it affect our society, and how is it related to our society? So what she did was she prepared a questionnaire in a form, in a Google form. There were questions, there were around 15-20 questions, and those were circulated among 300-400 people. Or sample size can be chosen as per your convenience also. So because she wanted to publish, so she wanted to reach a wider audience, and she was really working towards that topic. So the discussion was mainly focused around, because she also conducted some interviews in it, as you would see in future sessions or maybe in some other sessions. There are different ways of doing surveys. So one is quantitative, one is qualitative. So she also conducted some interviews through which she got an opinion. So she discussed that in the discussion, and that is how you have to frame your discussion in whatever topic you choose. So let's move on to the introduction part. See, abstract and summary is optional because these will be important when you go to publish a journal. So these will be the last things you have to write. So let us start from the introduction. So what introduction has is it should be first within 500 words. Introduction should include your topic of research, like whatever title you decide. So title is very important because it is the first thing that anyone sees when they search you or search the topic or when you see it. So title has to be catchy. It has to sell itself so that I open that page and I start reading. If the title is not well framed or it is too long or it is not giving all the information, then there will be no motivation for the reader to move on and read it completely. So title is the main things that sells your report, research, dissertation, whatever you want to call it. So introduction starts with the topic of research. Then you have to tell the main problems. For example, in inequality, what have you seen? Like inequality in context of a particular scenario, maybe a work environment. Inequality may be education environment. Inequality may be domestic environment. Whatever you have seen, whatever are the main problems, whatever is there written factually, you can state that. Sometimes you also have to, like, if you want to carry forward a main study, so you can state that also, that this study found out that this much is the inequality in the education institutes or in the work institution, like corporate environment. So moving on from that, like this is the amount of pay scale, that difference is there between a male and a female. So inequality rises from there, and then it leads to certain problems in social domestic violence. It leads to health effects, and anything you can write from there. So introduction also has to contain a hypothesis. For example, I'll just yeah. So it also has to contain your hypothesis. Hypothesis in the sense that, for example, whatever you want to do, as in inequality, you think that inequality causes health problems. That will be your hypothesis. You will collect the data to prove your hypothesis right. But if inequality does not create health adverse health outcomes, then that hypothesis will be proven wrong. So the introduction should end ideally with a hypothesis that my study aims to prove this, and then you can go on to the methods. So you are allowed to include references in the introduction. For example, whatever, if I cite the World Health Organization on the inequality, if I cite anything, World Bank or UNICEF in child's inequality, anything I cite, anything I refer to, I have to give reference. Okay, I have referred to that. So mainly we avoid direct quotations in this section, but that is not a such, like, that is not a hard and fast rule for you. But in general, if you can avoid plagiarism, that will be a great starting point for everything you write in the future. So moving on to introduction. So you can avoid generic information, anything factual that is like common sense, or that we assume that everybody knows. So you can avoid generic information about anything. So you avoid starting the introduction by approaching the topic from very far. Like gender discrimination is a serious problem in Middle Eastern countries. So this can be reframed as gender discrimination is a serious problem where, and cited by whom. Gender discrimination in what context? Because like this is a very generic sentence and this does not give you any context as to what you are trying to say. So we can, scientific research in the field of sociology shows that financial well-being of women in India depends on level of their education. So by this sentence, it should not be like you have to include as many as scientific jargons you want to include, but it should be like that what you are trying to say, that should be clear in the reader's mind. So moving on to the body. So background usually contains the history of the issue. History of the issue, as in you can start, this also you can merge with the introduction, the background. What happens is first you have to describe what happens globally. For example, globally, some countries do not have gender inequality. Some cities, some like countries do have it, and then from globally you move on to an Indian context. Then wherever you are doing a study, you move on to that context. For example, in Delhi, in Haryana, in UP, this much is the inequality, and this report mentions this, and this is a problem because, and I want to explore this because. So this all constitutes your introduction. Literature review, I told you that literature review is important because interpretations and approaches and whatever has been done in the past, you are trying to build on that. So you are trying to build on evidence that has been generated in the past, because you would not be the first one to do any study that you might pick up, and you have to see whosoever is done before, because you do not want to replicate that exactly, because that has already been done before, and you do not want to waste your resources. So you can also see the literature review, and you can refer to various journals and various online articles for this. Even you can search on Google Scholar and it will give you countless articles. You can read through any of it and you can include in your literature. This will also help you in writing the result and discussion part, because as you read through the articles, you'll get a sense of writing style that you have to follow. So in literature review, the writer has to introduce not the source but the context in the connection to the problem. You do not have to write, I got this study from Google Scholar, but you can write for example, X author did this study in Delhi or in US, and this much sample size was there, and the main finding of the study was this. The main finding has to be in context with your study, not with random study, but whatever you are studying, the main finding is related to that, you can report it. Moving on. So the methods, as I told you, that methods are the most important things that you can offer in your that, because if somebody wants to replicate it, or if you have gotten some results following a certain method only and nobody else is getting it, then you can say this method I have followed and I have gotten these results. So if somebody else follows some other method, they can also get some other results. So you have to mention all the methods that way. Starting with the results section, your calculations or any other data findings you receive during your research. For example, if you will set up a Google Sheet and you will distribute it amongst your friends or whatever, 15, 20, 50, whatever people you want to distribute it amongst, they will give you some data. You will express the data in the form of some numbers, some percentage, some frequency, some graph, some bar chart, something you will, like 50% are male in my study, 50% are female. Whatever is it you want to represent, that will be your result. Result is just the factual description of whatever you got in your methods. It does not include your opinion or anything. Like most of the people are male in my study, almost all. So you mainly do not use these phrases in results. Moving on, discussion. So this is the last part of your report that you will write. So discussion means that you have to interpret the results as you find it, in your opinion. So you have to write how the numbers you have found in the result are related to the problem under the research, how they contribute to the inequality, and how can we improve it. You have to write the strength and weaknesses of your study, like your study strength will be that you made it online so everybody can read it, everybody can respond to it, and it is easier and people do not feel shy responding to your study. So it has a wider audience, or anything you have to think about it and you have to write it. So indicate whatever is lacking in your research, so that if a person wants to replicate it and they can adopt that thing, so they will. For example, you might not be able to reach so many people in your research, but if other person is replicating your research and they might be able to gather a large sample size and see if the problem really solves with that, then they might. So the last thing is recommendations and conclusions. So recommendations are whatever you have found, because at the end, whatever you will read will make you a little more well informed in that topic, a little more like a stakeholder, like you can give some recommendations regarding your topic. So recommendations are given concerning the research, but concerning the research, not for the solution of the problem that is under the research. So you can say by doing this research, I by basing your research, you can give recommendations. You cannot give recommendations outside the scope, outside the frame of your research. On whatever you have found, you can give recommendations on that. For example, if most women in your survey found said that inequality will be better due to some, if we do this, then you can recommend it. Okay, I also find that it is a sound thing to do, and I recommend it for further studies. So in conclusion, your conclusion is just 3-4 lines, and some concluding thoughts are given. So there is, if there is no summary, as it'll be in your paper, so you can summarize it shortly, and in 3-4 lines you can write the conclusion, like main findings you have gotten from the results and discussion. So that's all from my side. Any questions?
Good evening, sir. Can I ask?
Yeah, good evening. Hi.
Hi, my name is Sanchi. Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead, Sanchi.
Sir, can we choose like an education policy for our research and then conduct the surveys and everything?
Education policy, national education policy, which came out right now, right? You are talking about
Yes,
that.
sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Like
you
it's
can
retrospective
surely go ahead
analysis
with,
and everything.
you can surely go ahead with that, as it will be a very useful study too, because I guess you would be based on a college right now, and you can readily forward it. But you have to be a little more specific. What do you want to know about the national education policy, that people are aware about it, or what do you want to know that policy is still implemented? You have to see. You have to narrow down. National education policy is, it's in itself is a very wide topic. You think on it, you develop a sense that as to on which topic you want to narrow down to. At the end, you should have a working title which includes around like 1 or 2 lines, depending on where you want to work on. Am I making sense?
So like we can choose the impact of National Education Policy 2020 on school education, narrowing down to the impact it will have on school education particularly, including the early childhood education as well.
That is actually great. Like it's a good concept. So you will be like, what you'll do is you'll compare what National Education Policy 2020 is offering and what is currently being done, and you will make some things. You will ask a certain group of parents, or because you will be doing what children know, so you will be asking a certain group of people that if this change is made, do you think that this it will help your child in any way, or if this change is made, like that you can do. So that also can be designed as a questionnaire, and that will give you that, okay, people are willing or not, because any policy at the end has to be implemented in the field. But if people are not willing, or people are not yet in that mindset that yes, this can help my child, then your policy should follow a different path. I can't say that it can't be implemented. It can be implemented, but you will need a little advocacy for it, and you will have to see how that works. So you can go ahead with that topic.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
I had one question. Is there any limit for the word count?
Yeah. So generally we say that it should, if it is a social science research, and if you are writing your first no, then you can go ahead with a 4,000 word count, 4,000 word limit. But generally, whatever, if you see a journal, a good journal, they have a limit set at 2,500 or 3,000, but it can increase up to 4,000. So I would say you first aim at 4 to 5,000. That will be a good limit.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Sir, excuse me.
Yeah, Aditya, go on.
Can we base our research like we have to focus on a particular policy, or we can also choose any particular topic like environmental degradation and environmental
You can
issues?
choose any topic you want. For example, environmental degradation is also a topic, a very good topic. For example, I remember from last batch, a person did a study on like water level in Delhi. So they took a secondary data from some source, and they compared it. Like they did a time series analysis. Like in 1980, this was the water level source in Delhi, and this were all the pollutants, and now it is this. So whatever has changed. So you can also very well do a report writing on secondary data. You need not go and collect all the data, because so much data is available readily online. If you want to develop a secondary research or do a research that is, or from a data that is already available, or develop a environmental like research, you can very well do that.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, so Sukhman has asked a question: can a research be conducted regarding growing hate for Muslims in India? Yes, you can do it, but I would say that you need to have a sophisticated tool that is not biased towards anything and that measures whatever you are trying to measure, because that is if I go really deep into it, it is a construct that you are trying to measure, and any construct you will have to also see that you want to base your study on a qualitative or a quantitative basis that you learn maybe, and you will have to measure that construct, because if I say that, okay, I have 10 questions and I want to see that this topic is measured by these 10 questions, then I will have a lot of questions. That are my 10 questions measuring this topic completely? Even are my 10 questions credible to measure this topic? Or are my 10 questions measuring this topic in the whole audience or not? So that is a wider research. You can do it. I'm not saying that you can't do it, but you have to develop that tool accordingly.
Sir, I have a question. Is it mandatory to write the report in first person view, or can we write it according to our convenience?
Actually, it is a good question. So you write a research, you do not have to write a research in fully a first person view. For example, till the review of literature part or till the results part, you have to write a research in general neutral sense. After that only, what you do is in discussions, you do not write in a first person view. You write in a view around your study. For example, this study has found that inequality is this much, and it is because of these factors which affect this, and so there is an urgent need to tackle this. So you do not have to write in a first person view, but you have to write it based on your study. I hope it answers it.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
So Himal is asking, I want to go for mental health awareness research. Can I get insights of 20, 30 people and then proceed with it? So mental health awareness research is a very good topic, very upcoming topic, and looking at whatever our health budget has also given so much importance to it right away. So that is an upcoming field and upcoming research area. You can very well take on it, but it depends again, mental health awareness on which thing, like mania, depression, what do you want, suicidal tendencies, mental health awareness among youth, role of policies in I'll take on that question. So mental health awareness is a very wide topic. So I have also participated in a research in mental health. So what we did is that we developed that in that research vignettes were there. So there was a paragraph uh, saying that, okay, if this condition is there, then a person is more prone towards depression. So do you know any of such people? So they can say either yes or no. So you can see that, then you can see clinically that that person has depression or not. So in that area, you have to work with experts who know what, like if you're diagnosing it or what awareness you want to reach. So you want to see what all is there. You can go ahead with it, but I would suggest that you narrow it down to what all awareness, which all condition do you want the people to be aware of, or which all conditions are they not aware of? Because mental health in itself is a very big, very vast field. Yeah. So next question is by Najma. My research topic is role of policies in urban development. Should I narrow it down? I think yes, it needs some more specification because role of which policies, role of health policies, role of health promotion policies, which aspect do you want to see, which political aspect, implementation policies. There are a lot of policies that you can narrow it down to. So if you have a particular thing in mind, the role of environment policy, role of what urban development policy, you have to narrow it down a little bit more according to me. That will help you finding research. Otherwise, you'll search this topic online and you'll find so many articles that afterwards you have to narrow it down to a particular aspect. So it's better to start with a small question and answer that question first.
So maybe this time, I had a doubt. So do we need to take primary data or secondary data is all right?
Yeah, Christina, are you asking some question? Okay. So the next question is from Maitri. So she asked that I wanted to
Sir,
go.
could you hear me? I asked a question.
Christina.
Hello?
I saw your question. Yeah. So is taking primary data mandatory? So I think I've answered it. No, primary data taking is not mandatory. You can take secondary data. National Family Health Survey is out, or any data, National Statistics Survey, any data you can take and you can work on it and you can develop a report. It's not mandatory that you develop a tool and go out in the population and do some primary research only. If you have less time, it's not about less time. Secondary data research is so important that there are people who find a new perspective to look at the same data. So you can develop a perspective, you can develop a question looking at a data set, and you can get your findings from it very well. No issues of collecting primary data.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Sure. So Maitri asked, I want to go for gendered perspective research based on the impact of 73rd Amendment. That is Panchayati Raj Act. Critical analysis of whether there is a socio-economic upliftment of women indicators. Could be data on economic level, awareness about rights, etc. I think I'm not a subject expert in this, but yes, you can see if Panchayati Raj Act or an amendment to the Panchayati Raj Act, which has been done in a long time back, I think. So if that has caused socio-economic upliftment of women, but you have to develop a tool to see that, okay, whether that has caused upliftment, any upliftment of women or not, because what you are trying to see here is causality. Causality A causes B. But if a long time has passed, then along with A causing B, C also causes B and D also causes B. So there will be multiple factors that will affect that. So you have to see that what you are trying to prove and what you are trying to get out of your research question. Okay, so Devika says, sir, can I compare the Labor Act of 1986 and 2016? Very well, you can. Yes, you can, and you can say that, okay, this area was lacking in 1986, and this is included in 2016, and this will be these are the further things. That is called a critical appraisal of a policy. That you see a policy and you see that, okay, it has moved, but these are the things that are yet to be added or they can be added. So you can very well include that, and also you can review a few labor acts from a few different countries that are doing well, because as far as I know, Labor Act in India is not that stringent, and as strictly speaking on the health perspective, we do not have a health role for employees in factory, and that though we have ESIC and several other acts, but nothing that stringent and that much followed all around the country. So you can very well do that. That is also a good topic. Yeah, I will share the PPT that I presented. Sure. Any further questions? Okay. If not, then let's break. And if you have any further questions, feel free to reach me at any time. I will be happy to help. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a good day.